All right, guys, welcome back from the holiday break. Hope you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend. But we're here starting Q3, and it's time for the second half push for 2024. And so it's time to get back and focused. We had a light showing in our weekly training last Tuesday before everyone off for the holidays. So I wanted to, instead of doing the training that night, we just did some Q&A. So instead, I wanted to do this training in more of a module format that you guys can go back and review. And then certainly we can answer questions in the next live training or on around anything dispositions related. So before we get started, I can't tell you guys how passionate I am about this topic as it relates to dispositions and just investor relations. Why am I so passionate about it? Well, in 2020, when the market took a shift going into 2021 and deeper into 2022, where inventory became so scarce and buyers became more risk adverse because of interest rates spiking up. My business almost crumbled because we were not getting any buyers on our deals. And we took the approach that if we had good deals and enough consistent pipeline of leads and contracts, then the deal will ultimately sell itself. And we were humbled. And so we spent a lot of time, money, and getting mentorship around how to properly conduct a dispositions department and properly build a good buyer's book and also market deals to your buyers. That's exactly what this training's for. So let's get right into it. All right. So we're going to go over how to build your buyer's book for free. I've got plenty of resources and SOPs that you guys can quickly copy and paste and just start taking action right away. And a beautiful thing, it's all for free. We're going to go over some marketing your deal best practices. This is an area I see a lot of wholesalers do a terrible job in. They copy and paste an address. They share a couple property condition information, but they're not doing any pictures. They're not doing any videos. They're not even investing into a quality photo, right? They're taking them with their iPhones. They're super blurry. They don't market the deal well, and they think the deal again is going to sell itself. That's the worst way to do it. And you're not going to have people at least wanting to entertain looking at your deal. I'm going to go over some examples of how I do dispositions in my own wholesaling business. And then there's some scripts that we're going to actually go over in a live session. Logan's got a great power script that we'll do as sort of a dispositions training part 2 in our weekly trainings. And then some action steps that you guys can take immediately to start building your buyer's book and marketing yourself out to buyers and investors in your target market. So ways to build your buyer's book. Super simple. Definitely an area that you can invest in if you want to purchase tools like RVM, recorded voicemail marketing. If you want to leverage an SMS marketing tool like Launch Control or Smarter Contact to reach out proactively to buyers. That's something we do in our business. But then there's also just some free ways to just get in touch with active buyers and investors in your target market. And that's by way of Facebook groups or social media. Also just attending local REIs. I've been, the way I build my buyer's book when I first started in Massachusetts is back in 2019 was just attending local REIs twice a week. And I just started building my buyer's book from there. Then I started getting active in Facebook groups, and that's when I started to have a healthier buyer's book. Another great way is if you start to get a great buyer's book and you have been doing this consistently for hopefully every day you're taking action on this, but you might start building a buyer's book that is valuable to another wholesaler and investor. And maybe that they're in a different pocket of your market or a new area that you want to start doing business in, and you guys can just quickly swap. I haven't done that on my end, but I know a lot of successful wholesalers that do that. And I think that's a great way to just add value and, build your buyer's book for free while giving value in return. And then lastly this is something that we do for our clients. This is something that I've trained my own cold calling team on here is when we're doing our outbound marketing, when we're doing our cold calling, we're doing our SMS marketing. Oftentimes we run into buyers or sellers that aren't actually looking to sell their home, but they're investors and they've worked with wholesalers and they pick up immediately on what we're doing. And they say, listen, add me to your buyer's book and I'm looking for XYZ types of deals. And they start giving the VAs and the cold callers their buyer's book over the phone. We document that. We push those to our clients. But if you are brand new to this and maybe you're doing the cold calling on your own right now, start to get something out of the conversation, right? If you're doing cold calling and doing outreach and you call on a seller and they're not interested in selling their home, just as you're wrapping up the call, say, hey, sir or ma'am, thank you for your time. I'm sorry for bothering you. Do you happen to invest into real estate on your own? And would you be interested in getting deals from our team? Because we're sourcing motivated seller leads and off-market deals every single month. Would you be interested in joining our buyer's book? It's a great way to maximize your time. We do that again here in our team, and it's just great because it's able to make use of a call that wasn't going to convert into anything. So these are very simple ways to are areas where you can find buyers. And of course, you can invest in an email marketing tool, or you could just simply gather people's emails, looking up businesses, looking up real estate investing companies online, seeing the contact info, and just manually reaching out one by one. So these are all simple ways that we can go about targeting buyers, converting at a high level, and starting to actually build a legitimate buyer's book. So here's a very simple SOP that you will have access to in the dispositions folder in our resource library. So there's first and foremost a script in here, the cash buyer prequel script, the next steps script, and this is the elite cash buyer power script. So we have a couple different scripts that we've gathered over the years that you guys can simply review and adopt to make it your own. And I would highly recommend customizing these on your own and really making it work well for your business, your target market, and just the entire type of investors that you're working with. But these are some frameworks that you can have just to work around and then craft and make it your own. So immediately I would go into the scripts. If you're completely brand new, go look at the scripts. But one thing that I will say is really helpful to get started before you even review the scripts is go into building a Power Buyer's Book SOP. Because this is exactly what I was talking about when I said some immediate action steps you can take to start building the buyer's book today. And these are all templates that I've used and very simple. I would go out, search in your target market. I've even included a Facebook networking group list that I built when I first started, just so you can start getting some, names, right? All you got to do is adjust to your target market. I got a bunch in here from Massachusetts, Connecticut, Indiana, and Kentucky, where else? Texas. So if these are some of the markets you guys are working in, go for it. Just go join it, right? I've done, I've cut the workout for you there. And what I did when I first started was I documented that I've joined the group first and foremost and got accepted, because it's very easy to lose these groups. I put the link in here because I don't like the way that Facebook formats searching groups. And then I basically confirm whether or not I've posted. Right. So holding myself and my team accountable to know, like, hey, not only have I joined this group, but have I introduced myself to the community and dropped in a quick note. And you guys can use this and make it your own. Like I said, this one was a great one because we did have a lot of contracts in Indiana when we first started, but we were new to the buyers. So I had to sell myself, right? I had to show value. Like, hey, I'm not just one of these come and go wholesalers that are trying to joint venture their way or possibly daisy chain a deal. I'm someone that's bringing, I should have meant daisy chain. Joint venture is a great way but daisy chaining is basically, if you're not familiar, when you try to get someone else's deal and there's a chain of wholesalers or maybe investors involved in the deal, but they're not being forthcoming about it. So really you have no control over the deal and you're just trying to get a squeeze of the assignment fee. So I take back what I said, joint venture. This is really joint venturing here, right? You're selling yourself to these buyers by saying, hey, we've generated 45 motivated seller leads in Indiana this month, and we're looking for some trusted partners to help us do some due diligence and get first right of refusal on the deal. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it could be, we have 2 contracts that are under agreement and we need a qualified buyer, a cash buyer to walk the property, take pictures, get first right of refusal on the deal. First right of refusal just means, hey, they have the opportunity to check out, they have exclusivity to check out the property first and then give you a number or say yes or no if they want to try to pursue the deal before you move on and introduce another potential buyer into the mix. So that's something that's super simple. Go into these Facebook groups. You don't even have to say your business name. You don't even have to say like anything, any fluff. It's just short, sweet, to the point. But my recommendation is make it colorful, use emojis, and sell your business in a way that you know that that's, if I was an investor and I saw that, I'd be like, hey, I want to go partner with this person and see what they got going on. Because most of the setups, if you are a paid client for one of our high ticket services, where you're doing lead generation and deal generation with us, we are your acquisitions team. We are your back end office. Sell that value to your clients, or sorry, to your buyers and investors. Sell the operation that you have, because most of these investors don't have a consistent flow of leads or a CRM or data and lists that they're calling on. They're just looking to park their money into the next deal. So that's where you guys have to go out and simply post, here's another one. We have 2 properties we're looking to move on, 1 duplex in Marion and 1 duplex in Muncie, serious buyers only. These posts crushed it. And so this SOP is the exact step-by-step process and best practices that you should be taking to effectively build your buyer's book for free. And then the last area here, now, if you don't have a CRM set up like we do, or that some of our other clients have, and you're just getting started in the community or just starting your business, I would just say go and do a Google Sheets, add all of your buyers in there, make sure you have the target markets they're looking for, make sure you have their phone number, their email, best way to get in touch, and maybe some notes around exact properties they're looking for. That's what we call their buy box, right? What is their buy box? What, in an ideal situation, if a deal is going to come across their desk, what are they exactly looking to purchase and move on? So the more information, the better, because ultimately you can effectively market to these buyers once you have a deal that fits their buy box, and they're going to pay more attention to you when they see your notification, your text, your email. It's going to build credibility. The better types of deals that you can get in front of them that fits their buy box, the more excited they're going to want to work with you, and the more legitimacy you're going to build as a new investor and wholesaler. So that's the first SOP. Check this out. It's, again, in the resource library under the dispositions folder. So that's step 1. Step 2 is engage with these buyers frequently, right? It takes a lot of touches to, the same way that we handle follow-up in our acquisitions side of our business, you have to be equally as aggressive when you're engaging with buyers. Now, don't be annoying, right? If you don't have an active deal with them, if you have nothing else in play, once you've got their buyer's book and you have nothing to return in favor, make sure anytime you engage with these people that you're bringing something to the table, a deal, a motivated lead, maybe a new update in your business that's going to allow you to work more efficiently with them. So not only build these buyers book, qualify them. I highly recommend qualifying them just through text message or Facebook first, unless you have an active deal that you need some guidance on, that they're willing to work with you, because they can help give you some knowledge and really guide you and hold your hand through the process. It's the best way for you to learn if you're a new real estate investor, and the best way for you to learn in your market. And then lastly, once you have the money to invest, I highly recommend investing into a CRM that can market your deals for you, or a software that is purpose built for dispo marketing. And we'll talk more about those in later sessions. Now, next is marketing your deal. All right. This is where I see new wholesalers really drop the ball. And I wish I had a few examples that I can show you, but I think you've probably all seen them, or maybe admittedly you did it yourself, because don't worry, when I first started off, I was very poor in this area. As I mentioned, starting off in the video, I always thought the deal would just sell itself. Yeah, of course, I have an off-market deal at a discount. Why wouldn't any buyer just want to come chasing after me? Well, unfortunately, because of the popularity of wholesaling and real estate investing, there's a lot of crappy deals on Facebook. And most people think that once a deal hits Facebook, it's already gone through a lot of qualified investors where they're kind of licking up the scraps, for lack of a better word or phrase, when it comes to the Facebook marketing. So it is ever more important that once you've got a deal under contract and once you're ready to market this deal out, that you do not cut corners on this part of the process. So here are some real data metrics for you and best practices that I've learned from people that are doing millions and hundreds of thousands in assignment fees a month. These are what the top 1% of wholesalers and investors are doing. So first off, you need to have a detailed description and also of the surrounding area, right? Ask yourself, why would you buy this deal, or would you buy this deal, and why? What's attractive about it? Because most wholesalers think about the assignment fee and the money they're making. They're not putting themselves in the shoes of the investor to say, if I was on the other end of this and I was receiving this, would I buy it? So the more information, the better, right? It's close to healthcare, education, sites, metro markets, just anything that's around the area that would make it attractive for an investor and ultimately knows that the property is going to appreciate. Another one is comps, and it's really important to do ranges. I was a big, um, what's the word I'm looking for? I made this mistake a lot of times trying to put an exact ARV, right? Hey, this property is worth exactly 280K, 285K, where you really want to do a range because it's a tough market to comp in right now. There's not a lot of activity on the MLS. We know this in recent years. And so because of that, we want to do ranges. And that's also with your ARV, right? So your ARV should have a rough range, and then the comps that you're looking for can either be 50K lower than your ARV or 75K lower or 50 to 75K higher, right? And it's just something that will help when you're marketing the deal out, because you don't want to you don't want to over comp, or you don't want to over shoot your ARV, and you also don't want to under comp or undershoot your ARV and miss out on getting interested investors. So have a range, and then stay far away from rehab budget. I just put what needs to be done. I let the people that are reviewing the deal determine what the rehab budget's going to be. Why do we do that? Well, most people have every investor is different, right? You may have someone that wants to, as we call, put lipstick on a pig and just do a very light rehab and is comfortable with that and has a very specific business model or clientele that they're trying to get for renters, and they just want to get someone in an ASAP. You also might have someone who's going to put granite countertops and all the bells and whistles of a beautiful new home that's going to be for a single family renter that's got a family, and it's really important for them to have more of a quote unquote luxury interior, and that will ultimately raise their rents, right? That's another way of an investor looking at the deal, but they're two completely different business models. And you want to just leave it open for anyone to say, hey, this is what needs to be done. You can determine what your costs are going to be. All right. You also could pay for an inspector. I have seen wholesalers do that. We've done that in our business before, and it's really helped to expedite the due diligence process. It started to get expensive for us, so we started dialing it back. But certainly if you have a really good deal on your hand and you want to get a large spread, and it will help you in the negotiation with the investor because you actually have a report from an inspector that you paid for, it's really hard for them to push back on, hey, it's going to cost me more than what it really is. And then if you are really looking to skip corners and trying to maximize your time, just type in ChatGPT, give me a marketing flyer for 123 Main Street in Essex, Connecticut, as an example. Now, I even just want to even revert back to what I just said. It's not even cutting corners. It's actually being smart. And I've used that. Now, don't take the AI copy for 100% accuracy. Like, read through it, fact check some things just to make sure that it all looks clean and accurate. But it's a great way to just say, hey, give me a marketing flyer for this address, and it will actually share information around the surrounding area. It'll share the bed and baths. It'll share the square footage. It'll share up-to-date info, but always make sure you fact check it. And it's something that I don't use in all scenarios. And here's really some great ways how to maximize your spread. All right. I use a company, HomeJab. HomeJab takes professional photos. I'm going to show you some examples in just a moment of my account. It does cost $189, but it's a nationwide company. And especially if you're virtually wholesaling, they will go and take HDR photos. They also have opportunity if you want to pay more to get a video element to it. They also have a 3D walkthrough service, Matterport service. And so they have all these different tiers if you really want to go on in your marketing. But this is data that came from a company, InvestorLift. And if you're not familiar with InvestorLift, they're a very expensive dispositions platform. I think their minimum license costs about $7,500 to $10,000 a year. And then they are gathering billions of data points for off-market transactions that are occurring on their platform. So this is from their CEO and founder, Robert Wensley. He shared this data across how they performed last year on marketing best practices. So when you took 30 to 50 HDR photos, shot well, professional, colorful, vibrant, same way that you would do it if you were a realtor listing a property on the MLS. And then they found that the average assignment fee across their platform was $20K. It's huge. I think my average deal size right now is closer to like $12K in Indiana. And we use 30 to 40 photos. So that's a really good average assignment fee for just paying $189 for someone to take professional photos. And then when you added a video element to it, that average assignment fee jumped up to $30K. So just by investing more into the video component of it, they made an extra $10K on top of their deal across their platform for their client base. And then lastly is when they added a 3D Matterport component to it, a walkthrough where you literally could just do all of your due diligence from the comfort of your computer. Their average assignment fee jumped up to $40. Now, these are for deals that mostly if you're like a flipper, or if it's maybe a novation deal that you're doing where the house is already in good standing, then it would justify paying for a 3D walkthrough. But because I work in markets where there's a lot of dilapidated homes, the properties aren't really in rough shape, I'm not paying for really even a video component or a 3D walkthrough. The pictures kind of paint the scene for us. But if we do have a novation deal, we will pay for the video because they're typically properties that are in good shape. So here's what this looks like in my business with some of the orders that we've done. So you can go to Home Jab. We have an affiliate link in the SOP for right here, best practices for marketing your deal. You will find a couple different examples. And actually, I'm just realizing the Home Jab affiliate, put this in here. Might have been another. There we go. All right, now you guys will have it. So just use that. It'll take you to their main page here, and then you can just go to place order, and then you can choose the options. And the starting rate is $189. But you can see here, this property here in Hagerstown, this is actually an ovation deal that we are closing on this month. It's pretty, right? Vibrant, so that the blues stick out, the greens stick out. A potential buyer and investor can look at this and say, okay, I can see and understand the conditions and what I'm walking into, right? You can see things like, mold on the floor. You can see cracks, and it just allows people to do their due diligence a lot faster. And it also builds credibility in a flood of very, sorry for my language, but shitty wholesalers that are out there that are not taking the time or investing the time necessary to put a really good marketing flyer with photos, with comps, with all the details that I mentioned and best practices. They're just thinking the deal is going to sell itself. And then they wonder why no one's going after or making an offer on their opportunities or engaging on walkthroughs, right? So this is a really good service that I've been using for almost 2 years now. And it's been huge for us as virtual wholesalers. So highly recommend doing that, using that service. All right, let's jump back in. So here's some additional, we just talked about, okay, getting your marketing flyer prepped and ready, right? That's the first step. You're getting it. Now let's talk about how best practices when reaching out to these buyers. Step 1, build a buyer's book. Step 2, you have a deal under agreement, invest into your marketing, develop a really nice marketing flyer. And then step 3 is, okay, reach out to these buyers and get in touch with as many people as possible. And here's some best practices. Now, this also came from InvestorLift, where they give you their buyers on their platform. So this is something that most of us, when we're starting out, won't have the luxury of 3,000 to 6,000 email lists of email recipients to go out to, but keeping it lower, right? The thing here is we don't want to get flagged as spam. So even if you're doing it to 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, right now I have about 1,500 buyers in my target markets. So I'm under that threshold. So I'm not getting flagged as spam often. And if you look at this, right, the average open rate for most emails are 4 to 5%. When you stay on a lower range and don't try to spray and pray and go like wild with your emails, you see this bump up to about 40 to 50% open rate, because the email, I guess, carriers aren't going to pick up on spam. Subject line, so important. I have emojis, whether it's a house, fire, bag of money, whatever, a siren, something to just get the people's attention. When you just add an emoji to it, it increases your open rate by 2 to 3%. Right? It's all about little things that go a long way. Then best times. When are the open rates highest? I very rarely now, unless I'm super time sensitive on my due diligence, very rarely do I market a deal on Fridays anymore, especially not on Saturdays, especially not on Sundays. I market my deals purposely on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays because the open rates are highest for email. And those are, just making sure that you're giving yourself a fighting chance to have as many people get eyes on your property, because you may have the best deal in the world, but if people aren't looking at it, it's not going to sell. So you need to make sure that we're taking these into consideration so that we increase the open rate and the eyes on our deals. And that goes for posting on Facebook too, by the way. So I would say, from an email outreach best practice, but also a posting on Facebook best practice. And then SMS is absolute game changer for our dispo side of our company. I mean, when we introduced SMS at the middle of last year, middle of 2023, we were doing 3-touch merges with email and still not getting eyes on our deals. We started implementing through our CRM SMS basically drip campaigns to reference the emails we were sending on our deals. I can't tell you how many people said, "Oh, I did not see your email. I'm sorry. Can you please resend?" Even though we know we'd sent them 3 different touches, they still through text were saying, "Oh, I didn't see your deal. You mind just resending?" And these are buyers that I was doing business with, right? People that I had thought were getting my deals and just for some reason not liking them, but they just weren't seeing them. So again, these are investors, are busy people. They're business owners or they're entrepreneurs. Like, these people have a lot of other things going on just to look at deals. And then if you, and this might be, before I wrap this thought up, this might be manual to start, right? It's going to stink. It's going to be tasking, but if you want to build a business and be successful in this industry, you have to just start from somewhere. So make sure you're doing SMS, even if it's a manual process. What you could do is just get a Google phone for free, and that way you have the interface on your dashboard, so you can just type and make it easier instead of having to text through your phone. That's what I did when I first started. So making sure that you're relentless through SMS, then making sure that you call your buyers. If you've gone through maybe 3 days of marketing, what we do is we have our disposition specialist reach out proactively to brokers and investors by just calling them. "Hey, we have sent you a couple of deals. We have one hot that's in your area. Did you see the emails we sent? Did you see the text we sent? Have you looked at, if we're calling on brokers that have listed properties close to where our property is listed at. We've done that in the past. That's worked really well. Call these brokers, these agents that were the ones listing the comps that we had in our marketing flyer, and say, "Hey, we've got this deal. We saw you recently did a deal. Do you have any buyers that you might be interested in partnering on and bringing to the table?" That's worked out really well for us. And then lastly, if you have the infrastructure for it, recorded voicemail drops, that's a marketing tool that's going to be sort of 2.0 that we're going to go over. It's something that I don't see a lot of new wholesalers getting into when they're first getting started. It's something that I have experience with in the past. It is a great marketing method, but sort of 2.0 of wholesaling. And we'll go over that in the acquisitions modules later. But if you have the opportunity in the budget for it, recorded voicemail drops that are just basically say, hey, this is the Connor Brothers Home Offers team. Got a property in your area. We've been reaching out. We're doing best and final offers by the end of this Friday. Give us a call back. And then you just sort of, receive, you have your phone number in there and you just receive calls, or have your VA receive them. And then lastly, you put these on your Facebook groups, which you've already talked about. So we've gone over how to build your buyer's book, best practices for marketing your deal, and ways that you can also maximize your assignment fees by investing or taking the right steps when you do go through the deal marketing process. And as I mentioned at the beginning with this resource library, these SOPs are in here for you, right? Check them out, take action on them, and you should be dedicating at least an hour a day in networking. That's what I was told by my mentor. 1 to 2 hours a day in your dispo. I know that sounds like a lot, especially if you're working a W-2 and also working your acquisitions and your leads. But if you have the luxury of working behind the desk during the day, or just as you're wrapping up your night from 8 o'clock to 9, whatever it is, best time for you, constantly be building your buyer's book, constantly be networking. It's going to be the best way for you to learn how to best do business in your target market, first and foremost. But it's also going to start getting some trusted partners for you to help you through due diligence, to give you ideas of accurate numbers and comps, to give you ideas of rehab budgets. That's how I learned best. And so take action, use these SOPs to your advantage, and then come to the coaching calls if you guys have any questions, or drop in the support channel. We will see you guys on the next live training.